Hey guys, Jenny here and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'd like to show you how to make some Brazo de Mercedes. It's pretty popular here in the Philippines, but if you're not familiar with it, it is a meringue-based cake that has a sweet custard center. So if this is something that you'd like, just stick around and I will show you how it's done. Now let's get into the video. The first thing we'll do is the meringue. So in a big bowl, place all your egg whites in, along with a little bit of cream of tartar, and beat that on low for about 4 minutes. Cream of tartar helps stabilize the egg whites, and you can easily find that in most supermarkets in the baking aisle. So, to whip up these egg whites, you can use your stand mixer or a hand mixer, but I don't really recommend using, just hands and a manual whisk because it's gonna take a very long time and your egg whites may not whip up properly. So, when it starts to bubble like this, you can start adding your sugar about a tablespoon at a time. Just make sure to do it a little bit at a time so the sugar can dissolve properly. So while I'm doing that, let me just give you some tips or maybe a refresher for some. When whipping your egg whites, make sure the bowl where you will put your egg whites in is completely clean and grease-free. And that whisk too. If in doubt, give them a nice wash again, wipe them dry, and then take a paper towel, wet that paper towel with some vinegar, and wipe it on the whisk in the bowl to make sure that it's grease-free. I know it feels like an extra added step, but it is totally worth it. If you get any fat or grease, including the yolks with the white, they won't whip up properly, so you might as well just do the extra step or risk wasting all of those egg whites. Halfway through mixing, you can actually up the speed of your mixer to medium high and just continue beating even until after all of the sugar is in. And then you will also notice that your egg whites become much more opaque. So just continue beating until you reach the stiff peak stage. So the stiff peak stage looks like this. When you lift your whisk, it would form this peak and it doesn't flop to the side. So it's just stiff. It holds its shape. If it's still flopping to the side, then it looks very soft. That is the soft peak stage. So if it looks like that, just continue beating until you reach the stiff peak stage. Now we are ready to bake the meringue. Take a big cookie tray like this and line it with some parchment paper. The exact measurement of the tray will be indicated in the description box below, so make sure to check that out. And then brush that parchment paper with some vegetable oil. Make sure to get every area because this vegetable oil will help remove the parchment from the meringue later. Do not skimp on the oil and never ever skip this step. If you skip this, you won't be able to remove the parchment from the meringue without breaking it. Once the parchment is well greased, we can now transfer all of the meringue that we whipped up into this tray. I like to distribute dollops of the meringue and then spread it with a spatula because for me it's easier, so whichever works for you. So when spreading your meringue, try to make it as even as possible. And then once you're happy, take a fork or a cake decorating comb and score the top surface of your meringue. Make sure not to go all the way through, just the top surface because this will serve as like a cute decoration once the cake has baked. And now we are ready to bake this in a 350 degrees Fahrenheit preheated oven for about 20 minutes. If your oven has hot spots, make sure to rotate it halfway through baking. So while the meringue is baking, we can start making the custard. In a large saucepan, just combine all of the ingredients listed below. That's gonna be the condensed milk. So make sure you scrape it, get every last drop. And then a little bit of butter. The black dot is not a dirt, it's actually a vanilla bean. And this is the rest of the vanilla bean. Add that in. If you don't have vanilla bean, you can always use 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And then we also need some water and then egg yolks. And then using your whisk, just whisk that up until it's one homogeneous mixture. It's okay if the butter doesn't melt, but the rest of the ingredients, they have to be mixed up. And then we're gonna turn on the heat to low. Make sure it's on low and not high. And we are going to continue whisking it until it turns into a thick custard like this. You may have to switch up using the whisk and the spatula every once in a while. The whisk is helpful to break up the clumps, while the spatula is helpful to scrape the sides and the bottom to make sure they don't catch and burn. You'll know the custard is ready if it can coat the back of the spatula like this, and it's very thick. So if it is, just turn it off the heat, set it off to the side, and wait for the meringue to finish baking. So once your meringue has baked, give it about 5 to 10 minutes to cool down a little bit. It will deflate from its original size, so if it does, don't freak out. And then we're gonna sprinkle some powdered sugar on top. Once the top is entirely covered with powdered sugar, we are going to release the meringue from the tray. To do that, just run a knife along the edges of the tray like so. And then you need a big parchment paper to go on top of the tray. And then gently flip the tray like this. There. Then just lift the tray to release it. It should release cleanly. And then gently peel away the parchment paper from the meringue. It should peel away neatly because we used vegetable oil. So it should be quick and easy. Now all that's left to do is to put everything together. So as evenly as possible, spread your custard on top of the meringue like this. When the entire surface is covered with custard, we are now ready to form this into a log. So on the wider side of the meringue, lift the parchment paper and gently roll it into itself. And that's basically it. If you want to make it look pretty, just cut the ends off. You can still eat that. And then serve another slice for your family and friends. And this is the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure to hit that notification bell below so you don't miss out on any of my uploads. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on my next video. Bye!